Hey everybody, this is Volen in Pursuit of Art. I wanted to give you a little update on what I've been doing. So, made a video a little while ago about losing my practice, having to drop it because of too much work, and I needed something new. I needed a new thing to get started on. Some time ago, I did this thing I also called the 90 days of environments. So that thing was really helpful because it allowed me to have one thing to focus on. It gave me one subject. So if I wasn't improving at that one subject, then really it's either my skills or my tools that needed to level up. I could really see what I was improving at and what I had to improve in that I thought I was already okay at. And I wasn't. It actually ended up having me confront a lot of things that I thought I was, I'd done these before. I'd seen so many tutorials, read so many books. But when I really had that focus, it just was, there was no compromise. Like, you just had to deal with whatever was showing up in the feedback. Because if I'm only doing environments and I'm not understanding the key components, or I'm not able to execute on what I'm seeing in other people's work, then really I just had to level up some things. And it really helped me. It really helped me with lighting, it helped me with composition, with design, with value. A lot of things really came together because of that. Unexpectedly, right? Because it's 90 days of environments, but really it isn't environments that got improved so much. It's through that improving of environments that I got to level up my fundamentals. So the next thing that I'm going to be doing now is I'm pretty much a beginner again, like an absolute newbie. So I've been looking at and I've been mentioning Vitaly Bulgarov quite a lot in my videos. And part of why that is because he used to make 3D models. He was a 3D modeler. So he used to make 3D models for Blizzard, for like game companies, for games, essentially. And then he actually started making real stuff. He got hired by Boston Dynamics, and he worked on some of those crazy robots you may have seen on YouTube. So some of the real world stuff is actually, the styling of it is being contributed to by this guy. He's actually kind of making real world science fiction and reality. They're just fusing together. And it's a kind of a funny time right now because normally, 500 years ago, you close your eyes, you dream up of some sort of man flying machine, or you just say like, man will fly. And then you get potatoes thrown at you and worse things will happen. Now though, there's like, yeah, dude, okay, man will fly, but there's about 100,000 options out there of things that potentially could work. Now it's not about so much, what crazy idea can you come up with, but hey, crazy ideas are actually real. So in that sort of vein of fiction becoming real stuff, and actually real stuff being more impressive than fictional stuff, because again, you can come up with your man flight machine, but from your imagination or what you have in here is just not going to be as complex as what you can find in reality right now. Reality is becoming crazier than fiction, essentially. So that stuff was pretty interesting to me, and I really found myself just being drawn to this stuff for now. But really what I'm looking to get is that level up again in fundamentals. So even though I'll be doing some 3D design and I'll be looking at, mechs, hard surface stuff, machines, how they work, what I'm really looking to level up here is, one is thinking, because this stuff is very complicated. Just the way that stuff works, I have no idea how most things work. So learning more about design and real world functionality, and just seeing the effort that designers actually put into their work, I think is just going to help me in general as an artist to actually treat my work with more thought, to be more deliberate with what I do. And it's just pretty insane. It's fascinating to look at how these things work, from like something that's very simple, like an elegant solution, to something that's just a crazy amount of wires and pistons and all kinds of stuff that I have absolutely no idea how they work. So 2017, I'm going to try and keep it simple. I'm only going to be using things that I already know. So I'll only be doing 2D painting, Photoshop, so keeping it simple, just pretty much one application. Then 3D, I'll be using Modo, so that's some poly modeling. And I decided I'm going to pick up some CAD. I'm going to basically try and not learn any more tools for the moment, because I always have this compulsion to get more tools. But at this stage, I'm actually going to just drill down and go deeper in what I'm already using, because learning more tools is really not the way to go, I don't think, right now. I think it's actually maximizing what I can do with those, because really it's thinking that's difficult, and actually leveling up skills, that's the tough part. Learning a tool is actually almost like cheating, because it's just so much easier. You have buttons, all you have to do is just read up on what the buttons do, press them all, do some combos, and that's about it for learning the tool. And then you move on to the next tool, and then the next tool. I found that that's my way of kind of weaseling my way out of doing the hard stuff. Sitting down to try and design things is actually anxiety provoking for me. And I've had people email me and send me messages before, and I've had some conversations with people about just drawing, let's say, being anxiety provoking, or designing, sitting down to practice, being anxiety provoking. So I can definitely see when you're expecting something to come out and you're not prepared, it's almost like you're taking a test at school and you haven't studied. It's that type of situation where production's expected, but you're not really prepared. So I'm going to try and not take the easy way by learning more tools, even though I've allowed myself this one thing that I'm actually going to study some CAD. But what I thought might be cool about it is that I actually record how I go about it. So you guys, you may not be doing 3D, you may just be doing 2D. The way that I go about it is exactly the same as learning to draw. It's essentially just encountering this new thing that you know nothing about, figuring out the components, finding out what's important, what's essential, what the skills are, and then just deconstructing, like, hey, first simple problem, like just align your proportions correctly, for instance, or learn to measure. Or if you're designing, hey, what makes for a good shape? What makes for an optimal shape? What reads as a fast or a slow or a bulky, etc. form? So essentially, I'm trying to supply you with more of a procedure for how to learn things that you haven't dealt with before. And I'm actually showing you that it's really nothing magical or nothing special. I'm going to show you, I haven't even gotten to the CAD part here. So this is CAD. This is what it looks like. It's essentially like perspective drawing on steroids. So you're basically just creating profiles, and it's the same as what you would do if you've ever looked at Scott Robertson, any of his courses or his book. This is section drawing and just creating geometry out of profiles. So it's the same as drawing in perspective in many ways, and it really actually made me appreciate drawing more. But what I want to show you here is this connection here, like this little piece. This took me 3 days. I was trying to figure out how to connect a circle to a square, and that took me 3 days to figure out. So when I show you these, and when I show you how many, like, I've recorded days and days basically of me just going through and trying to learn stuff. And then a week later, that thing where I couldn't connect a circle to a square, now I'm actually able to put it together in a little design study. So it's just basically building, going from absolutely nothing, no idea how to do anything, and then really you'll get to see me, if you're interested in seeing those videos, you'll get to see me go from just figuring out how the software works to then looking at pieces. Like, this is what you saw me actually doing here at the beginning, is I was actually just looking at a model. You know, what's this thing look like? How's it made? What are the pieces? Because if I'm wanting to model it, I need to know, at least, you know, have a good idea of how it works, because this actually gives me more ideas of how to make my own things. So I'm not just kind of making cool shapes or cool things, I'm thinking about how they should work. Me learning this stuff is essentially the same as what you would do as a beginning artist, building up a visual library, figuring out what's important, what's not important. So feel free, and please do drop me some names if you know some cool designers that are doing this type of stuff, and also if you have some good resources about where to learn for how stuff works. I have no idea, apart from super basic stuff like there's hydraulics and they drive pistons, and there's motors, but let's say I have no idea how they work. So I am an absolute beginner, out of my depth, and have no idea how to do this stuff. At first, I'm just going to do some styling. So I'm just going to try and figure out shape design, for instance. That's really one of the things that I'm also looking to get from this, is just, hey, what makes for a cool design, or just what makes a shape, what makes shape language? You know, how do you create a shape language? How do you create cohesive parts? How can you make something feel like it goes together, even if you have no idea how it functions? It has balance, structure, etc. All of those things that you would look for in any subject, pretty much. So it's essentially design. I'm looking to learn a lot about design from doing this stuff, both visual, just styling, and also just how stuff works. Also, a quick shout out here to Claudio, who has really been helping me out. I think he's watched some of the videos and we connected on Facebook, and he's been answering a lot of my questions about how he does stuff and what I should do and how to go about this stuff. So thanks very much, dude. And thank you very much, guys, for sticking around, for watching, for all your support. Let me know what you're struggling with. Let me know if you have any helpful suggestions for me. So what I have coming up next is learning the tool. So learning, being a complete beginner, taking some time to even just figure out how to do super basic stuff, to then being able to use some basic skill set, to then actually making some things, you know, and you get to see the progression over 1 or 2 months. You get to see a difference from the beginning to the end of that time frame. And I'm hoping that this will show you, if I were to do this for drawing, if I were to do this for painting, for environments, for machines, for whatever, the process would look exactly the same. So you can find me on Instagram and on Facebook. I've been posting a lot of the things that I've already made and what I've been working on. And yeah, if you're looking for the art stuff, that's where a lot of it ends up. And it's just quicker for me to go ahead and post a quick picture. But you guys here on YouTube, you'll get the most detail of what's going on. And you can see here what I was telling you about the circle and the square. This thing was really obsessing me for like 3 days. I just could not figure it out. I had no idea what to do. And CAD was kicking my ass. And then as soon as I got this piece done, this actually belongs over here. This is the circle to square thing. And then the rest of the model came together pretty quickly. So it took me 3 days for this, but then this got built in the rest of that 3rd day. So this is what improvement looks like, right? I'm hoping these help you. Give me some suggestions of what you'd like to see, and I will see you soon. Goodbye. Thank you. I'll see you around.